guys are doing well. Today I'm going to be talking about family trauma, my experiences, and how I slowly overcame them. I mentioned on my Instagram several things that I have gone through throughout my life with my family, mainly my mother's side. And a lot of you guys were telling me to sit down and do a video upon it and what are the few things that has helped me that may help you. And I thought that was a wonderful idea. I'm here today to talk about a little bit about my life. I won't go too much into detail, I'll just kind of go briefly, but I really do want to share in regards to what have I done to help me with my family trauma and the pain that I have endured. First things first, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. It will mean so much to me. And click up the thumbs up button. This lets me know that you guys like videos like this, and I will bring more videos like this for you guys. My family trauma has started very early, around the age of 5. That's from what I could recall from um, my mother's side. I have a little bit of experiences from my dad's side, but not too much. Even though my dad was very active in my life, it wasn't that prominent, probably like a few things, but it was mainly more trauma from my mother's side than anything. As a young girl, my mom and my aunt, may God rest her soul, all best friends hanging out all the time. And my aunt has, daughters. And of course, as sisters, you want your daughters to have a wonderful bond and get, along with each other. When I was young, I always felt from one relative, she always treated me a little bit more differently than others. Although, like I said, my mom and aunt would try to make us very close. I would get certain things told by, that relative and her sister, such as you're adopted, no one loves you, no one cares for you. I remember it was one day, I believe I was like 6.5 around there, and my cousin had a diary, and I opened the diary out of curiosity because she always talks about the diary. And the first page says, "I hate Zuni. I wish Zuni was dead." And it made me sad because, of course, I saw her at that age like one of my favorites because, of course, we was hanging out all the time. So that has never came across my mind that I will wish that upon her. But it made me feel very unwanted. It made me feel not loved. Her other sister used to say certain things such as, "You're slow, you're retarded, you'll never amount to anything, you're adopted," like I mentioned. And I can't stand Dominicans because I'm half Dominican. Can't stand Dominicans. And there was just other things that she has said. And she mentioned certain things in regards to my mother's past that at that age I should have never known. I went home one day after spending time, you know, with my cousins, and I told my dad, and my dad was very angry. And he told my mother, and my mother did tell my aunt. And I don't know what happened afterwards. I just know they spoke to them. After a while, with certain points that, still my mom always wanted me to hang out with my cousins. And with my cousins, of course, they will have their other cousins hanging around, and then she would talk bad about me. And it was just always this competition between her and I. And it's not like I wanted to be in competition with her, because no. But she always felt the need to be in competition with me. And it was just many other things that I started to see, and just the mistreatment. She has an older sister. It's not from my aunt, it's from her father. And it was certain things that I heard from this older sister when I was sleeping over and I was on the bunk bed, and she was talking about me. And the things that she has said was so traumatic, to the point that I asked my aunt, can she call my mom? And she did. She passed me her phone. And I went to the room and I said, Mommy came pick me up. Never to my mom to this day what she said, but if it made me feel like I didn't want to be on earth no more. My grandfather. I might pick a bone here with a few relatives of mine that may watch this, but my experience with my grandfather was not pleasant as everybody's. When my grandfather was with my mother, my grandfather would treat me kind, but when my mother was not around, my grandfather was very mean to me. My grandfather was not kind to me, especially his wife. I won't talk much about her. It was one day I was at, my grandfather's house. Me and my cousin, uh, you know, her grandmother gave us a cup of Coca-Cola, and she said, "Don't spill it on the carpet." She said, "There will be a problem if you spill it on the carpet." There's no other place to drink the soda. We don't want to be in the kitchen, so we go in the living room. So as I walk into the carpet, it literally, it's not like I tripped, it just slipped out my hand. Mind you, I'm young. It slipped out my hand, and I said to my cousin, please, please don't tell, her grandma. I said, please don't tell your grandma. I said her name. And she said, okay, I won't. She said, I gotta go to the bathroom. She proceeds to go. As I'm thinking she's going to the bathroom. And then all I heard, mind you, she's not my biological grandma. Okay, this is grandma by marriage. All I heard my name, like just a loud shout for my name. And then I go over there. The cousin leaves. I get back to the room. And I just got yelled at. Yelled at. But not only yelled at, I was told certain things. And I was just like, wow. Okay. I just spilled a cup of soda. Like, I didn't think that it was that bad. Aunt came to the house, to her father's house, my mom did. And I told my godmother what happened. And my godmother spoke to her mother. And she said there was no need to yell at her. My aunt is telling the story. My grandfather laughs. Instead of speaking to his wife and say, like, you should have another yell at her, he just laughs. So I said, okay. It was a day when I was in Guatemala, and I was going to school in Guatemala, and my grandfather told me one day as I passed by his house, just get him a little snacks or whatever. He said, whenever you need money for school, you let me know. I said, okay, Papa, sure. I go home, whatever. It was one day that, because my mom used to give me money every day for school, for lunch, right? Because all the kids back home have money for lunch. That's the thing. So my mom went out. I don't know where my mom went. I didn't want to bother my grandmother. My grandmother, may God rest her soul, she was blind. So I didn't want to bother her because I'm like, how my grandma's going to give me money? I go to my grandfather's house. I didn't even go inside. I'm just at the gate. There is my grandfather and his wife. And I say to Papa, Papa, I'm going to school. Can I have 5 quetzales? 5 quetzales is literally almost nothing. 5 quetzales to American dollar. Okay, let me do this real fast. 5 quetzales to American dollar is literally 64 cents. 64 cents. And as he proceeds to take out his wallet, his wife starts to yell. And she said, don't give her no money. She always comes here to ask for money, which wasn't the case. That was actually my first time. And she said, don't you see? She's a brat. She don't need anything. And he puts his wallet back. into his 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 pants, his slacks, and my grandfather always had like rings in his fingers, and he had like watch and stuff like that. And I just saw he did that. He did like he will always do that. And I said, okay. I go back. It's like a way to go because his house was like behind my house. So I go back home just to see my mom's there because I'm like, hopefully my mom's there so I can have lunch because I will go to night school basically in Guatemala. You could go to day school, night school. So my mom still wasn't home. So I, saw my grandma in the living room, and I said, "Mommy," because that's when I call my grandma, and I said, "Mommy, um, I called her for money," and Mama yelled at me and said no, and but Papa said to ask, and she said, I explained to her. I said, "Oh," she said this and this and that, X, Y, Z, and I never asked for money before, so I said I don't have money for lunch, but I said I'm gonna go because I had to go. I literally said I had to go. I had to go. I remember saying I had to go, and she said, as I'm about to open, because there's two doors. As I'm about to open, she said, "Go to my room and get my purse." I said, "Okay." I go to her room. I get her purse. It's right on the right hand side of her bedroom at the entrance. I get her purse. Mind you, my grandmother's blind. And my grandmother, she gets her purse. She goes inside like this. And she goes like this. And she says, "Cuánto es esto?" Right? She said, "How much is this?" I said, 20 quetzales. And she said, From 5 that I asked my grandfather, God multiplied it and told my grandma to give me 20. That was one major experience that truly, truly, truly affected me to the core. And ever since then, I took the money, I gave my grandma a hug and a kiss. And as I walked to school with my mochila, with my book bag, I said, I hate. Really, I'm walking to school and I said, I hate my grandpa. I said it. I said, I hate him. And all throughout life, there was many other instances that I had with my grandfather, and it just solidified from what I experienced when I was younger, from the things that he has said and the way that he has treated me. And when my grandfather died, I was actually annoyed that he passed away because I said, dang, now I gotta go see him. And I was annoyed that he passed away because before he passed away, I went to go visit my godmother in her house, and my grandfather was there. And I thought that was the final straw. And after that, I did went home. I passed. Everybody was in the kitchen. My grandfather was by the microwave. And I said, "Hi, Papa." Right? No response. And I said, "Hi, Papa." I really tapped his shoulder. I said, "Hi, Papa." No response. I said, "Okay, whatever." As I bypass him and I go into the living room, he said, "You didn't say hello to me." I said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Hi, Papa." So he said, "Don't talk back to me." And everybody's in the kitchen looking. He said, "You are so disrespectful." And he said, "You're such a spoiled brat." He said, "Don't you ever talk back to me. When you pass by me, you say hello. Do you understand?" And I said, "But I did say." He said, "I said, don't talk back. Do you understand?" And I said, "Yes." And in the inside of me, I wanted to drag that old man to the floor. I put that on everything. Because I'm like, why do you treat me differently than everybody else? I never understood it. And then I had to put two and two together. And I said, it's because of my upbringing. My parents gave me literally everything that I wanted. So my family thought that I was just spoiled rotten. No, my parents actually gave me the life that they wish they always had. It wasn't perfect, no. But I could say from my upbringing with my childhood, from my parents, it was a very, very beautiful upbringing. Um, and I feel like it was something more because certain things that my mom told me that she has experience with my grandfather, I felt like it was something that's there. So it's like if I can't attack my child no more, let me attack my grandchild. And the relatives that I mentioned, the ones beforehand that had treated me bad, one of her oldest sisters have mentioned that they have the same experience, similar experience that I had. So the love was very selective. So my grandfather dies. I go to his funeral. I didn't give a shit. I didn't cry. I didn't feel nothing. I just wanted to go home. Still having a little bit of cousins issues or whatever. And of course, the cousins that I mentioned earlier that did affect me when I was younger, they're still talking bad about me. I'm not calling them, not speaking to them, not looking for them, but they still talking bad about me. Um, it was another incident that one other relative was using me, blasted her out, instead of everybody coming up to me and say, what happened? Like, how did it lead to that? No, they all chose outside. I cursed out everybody. I said, all you guys are fake. Why I said that? Because each and every relative speaks about one another. And I'm not one to not speak. I'm very vocal. So they ganged upon me and whatever. But I knew that was going to happen. And I was fine with that. I got to a point in my life that I said to myself, if I die, I don't want no one to know. Because I know no one will ever care. I want to donate my organs, I said, and just cremate me. And that's that. It came to a point in my life that I said, I don't want a husband. I don't want children. I don't want a family because I don't know what that is. Mind you, I still, but this is how I truly felt. It was a very, very, very dark time in my life. One day, I went to Guatemala and we did a ancestor kind of like party for my grandma and my great grandma and my aunt that passed away. And then one of my aunts says, your grandfather's here and he wants to be included. And I was so angry. And I'm like, why? This is not about him. And she said, he wants to bring you a message. And I said, I truly don't care. I don't care. He still came out randomly as I was waiting for a message from my aunt. Because I was like, I miss my aunt, you know? As I was waiting for a message from my aunt, he goes to say, this is not who you think it is. This is your grandpa. This is Papa. And I was like, I rolled my eyes and he was like, I'm sorry for the way I have treated you. You never deserved that. And I know, I'm like, my aunt don't know. The one that lived, she lives in Miami, but she lives across the street from my house in Guatemala. She don't know nothing about what I have gone through. So when she said, I'm sorry for the way I have treated you, you never deserved that. He said, I listened to other people when I should have just done my role as a grandfather. He said, I want you to find in your heart to forgive me, and I will always be there for you. I love you. I just looked at him dead, like, because you know it's a channeling. I looked at my aunt in her eyes, and I just left the room. I was not ready for that. I was not. I was so annoyed, so annoyed because I'm like, why is he coming here? Like, I was just like, why, right? So, anyways, time passes. Um, I go to London, and I see this one pigeon standing there by the apartment that I was staying at. And my grandfather had an obsession with pigeons. One day I was back home with my mom, and because he was with my mom, of course, he wanted to show me the pigeons. So, all the birds. And I'm thinking they're foreign birds. And then as I go and look, I'm like, they're pigeons, right? So, I'm like, oh, God. But yeah, he loved pigeons. And I was like, ew. And he was like, no, they're very smart, right? So I was like, okay, whatever. And my mom's speaking to her father. So, anyways, London, there's a pigeon that's looking at me. So I go to the left hand side because I gotta go to the mall, right? So I'm waiting for my Uber, and the bird turns to the left side as I'm walking. So I not feel it, like I feel the energy. I'm like, this damn bird staring at me. So I'm like, okay, like the Uber says it's gonna come from that way because you know the streets from the UK and the US is completely different. So I'm like, oh, it's gonna come from this side. So I go turn around to the right hand side and I start walking down. And as I pass by the bird literally, mind you, the bird was looking at me from the left side. As I'm passing by the bird starts to do this and looks that way. So I'm like, what? So I stopped and I turned around and I went down like low and I'm like, I'm looking at the bird. I'm like, why this feels like my grandpa? It was so weird. I'm like, why this feels like my grandpa? And I said, are you Papa? And the bird literally started walking one leg. The bird started walking towards me. And I'm like, you're my grandpa. But the Uber came and I was like, I gotta go. Right? So I literally got into the Uber and I was just thinking like, my grandpa is literally trying to like make up from the damage that he has caused, right? So I'm like, okay. I go to a museum in London. This is before I leave London. And in the museum, as you exit and there's like a gift shop, there's a whole bunch of pigeons. And I'm like, why would they sell pigeons here? Like this, the pigeon had nothing to do with the museum. So I thought that was the most weirdest thing. I bought the pigeon. It's in the living room. But I thought it was the weirdest thing. And I was like, I think that's my grandpa. Because I was thinking about the pigeon that I saw a few days beforehand. And I was like, okay, well, let me just buy the pigeon. So I bought it. I started laughing and I told the, cashier, you know, my grandfather collected pigeons, So I said that was kind of weird. So I said, even though I don't have a good relationship with him, I said, I don't know why, but I feel like he's telling me to get the pigeon. Right? So he started laughing. He was like, well, maybe he's with you. Right? And I was like, I guess so. Anyways, I go on a rabbit hole as I get back to the apartment watching pigeon videos. And I started laughing, and I was like, I think that's why he was so obsessed because they are pretty smart, right? And I just felt his presence there. And weirdly enough, as I'm laughing about the pigeons, I said, I think I'm ready to forgive you. That was big. That, mind you, that was years years ago. He said that, and I said, I think I'm ready to forgive you. And it was not easy to say, not easy to say, but I said, okay, I think I'm ready to forgive you, but don't come all the time. Come whenever you feel the need to check up on me, because you gotta give me time. In regards to my other relatives, right? Like I said, I'm not talking to them, don't care for them. I'm good without them. Came down to a point that I started to accept that I was like, I'm good with actually without family. Like I felt very content. I felt very at peace. I felt good. I would see videos and pictures of them like get togethers and drinking, smoking, whatever. And I was like, I'm happy for them. It was never any hatred. It was never any animosity. It was never any jealousy. I said, yeah, they look like they're having fun. I came to terms with it. Little by little, as I started to get more closer to God, I read a Bible verse that talks about betrayal and how family can hurt you. And I said, the Lord said this. So I know that many people before Jesus Christ and during when he was here and afterwards have experienced being mistreated and feeling unwanted and be attacked and talked about and made fun of and have envious relatives. Said to God, I said one day as I was in London, I said, Lord, I pray for healing. I pray for continuous strength. I pray for you to heal the young girl that just wanted to be loved and wanted to be cared for and wanted to feel as though she does have family that she could depend on and that she can rely on. As time progresses, I'm enjoying my time in London and whatever. I'm getting more closer to the Lord. And I say another prayer because it was one day I saw a couple, the window across, because the apartments in London are very tight. The window across, and it was a woman dancing with her partner. Sorry for the background noise, guys. And they're dancing in the kitchen, and she's spinning around, and he grabs from behind. And I said, oh, I know that they're gonna have such a healthy family. I could tell. And then I looked down, and it was a woman and man pushing a stroller. And I said, God, I take back from what I said that I don't want a family. I take back from what I said that I don't want a spouse. I don't want a partner. I said, God, I want my own family. I want someone that I'm able to build with, that I'm able to have children with. And even if you don't have children right away, God, I do want a person that does have a big family and that they will love me for me and I will love them for them. We will have traditions or, we start new traditions, right? But we all come together as one and we all have fun with one another and we all joke and there's going to be, of course, serious times. But we understand the meaning of unity and that this family is all about the Lord. That we praise the Lord, that we listen to gospel music, that we pray together, that we go to church together. Like, I want that type of family. And I want so many nieces and I want so many nephews. And I just want to hug on them and love them and play with them and just have that bond. And just, I was saying a whole bunch of stuff. I was like, I want like sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws. And I want to be, having fun with, his cousins and stuff like that because they're going to be my cousin. Like, I was really praying from chest, right? And I felt this like overall peace in my heart because I really felt in my heart that God said, yes, you will experience that. I felt so good afterwards when I felt that yes in my heart. I go back to New York. I go on vacation with my god sister. And then one of my relatives that I loved dearly, but We stopped talking because of an incident that I had with one of my cousins, as I mentioned. She used me and whatever. And she contacted me randomly out the blue. And she said she would love to talk to me. And I was very confused. But I wasn't angry. I was just very confused because I was like, is this because of more drama? I said, I'm not. I'm not talking to anybody. Like, what more? Like, what more? Okay, sure. Gave her my number. And she texted me. And she said that she wished that, one day we could get back to old times. X, Y, and Z, break it down, whatever. I don't want to go too much in details, but, she said she wished, we could get close again, whatever. And I told her, I said something on behalf of, thank you, because I was very depressed about it for many years. And I felt like I didn't have family. What I have done to overcome that is I sought out God. I made sure that I read the Bible every day. I read so much of the Bible because I felt as though that was the only thing that I had. I felt like I didn't have anybody else. Well, of course, I have my parents, right? But I felt like I didn't have nobody else but God. So I said, let me seek my divine Father. Read my Bible studied. I listened to sermons. One of my favorite pastors is Stephen Furtick. I felt like his sermons were definitely life changing for me. I made sure that I fueled myself with a lot of educational videos in regards to healing from trauma and how to overcome, you know, childhood trauma. And one of the main things that I have learned when it comes down to childhood trauma is one, you are not your traumas. Two, to remember to set boundaries. Three, don't ever suppress how you feel for anything or anybody. To speak up for yourself and to not be a fear of no one. Because the only person that you're meant to fear in this life is God. You're not meant to fear anything, man. Nobody. Not your uncle, not your aunt, not your cousin, not your sister, not your brother. You're not meant to be afraid of them. Another thing that I have learned is that words don't mean anything unless you actually give it meaning. So people could tell you so many things underneath the sun, like what they told me that I was stupid, like they told me that I was not amount to anything, that they wished death upon me, and that I was adopted. They could have told me so many things. But what was important during that time was for me to not actually believe. That was just a projection of their insecurities. That's just how they felt upon themselves. It was not about me. It was about what they were intimidated by, what they were envious of. My upbringing, my beauty, the way I carried myself, my way of speaking, me being very vocal and not caring at times. And then with the constant attack, of course, I was going to hold back. Hello, anybody would. What I really helped me was writing. I wrote down in my notes section everything, but in detail, of what I have gone through. And I felt as though that was a form of releasing. I felt as though that was my form of therapy. Because as I was writing, I felt as though God was responding to me as to why I had to go through these experiences. God was telling me that this was part of my soul journey. God was telling me that these people was to teach me in regards to how to never diminish myself, to never undervalue myself. And these are the type of people that you always have to be cautious of. You can't open your heart to everybody. You could be a loving person, but you can't open your heart to everybody. Everybody's going to care for you. Not everyone is going to do for you. But sometimes these people are not obligated to do so. It's not written for people to actually love you. They don't have to. But once you realize that they don't love you, that they don't care for you, remove yourself. You don't have to be surrounded by them. You don't have to associate yourself with them. And it's okay to tell people that it's not okay the way that you're talking to me. It's not okay the way you treated me. And I will not accept that. Fast forward, as you're seeing the video, got a little bit teary eye. Anyone would get teary eye in regards to talking about this story. But as now, fast forward, I started to talk to family? I would say two or three. I talk to my nieces. I don't have much nephews, but they're young. But there's my nieces and there's my nephews, and I have a few relatives, like I said, that I do talk to. Mind you, this is on my grandfather's side that I talk to. My grandmother's side, my mom's mom, oh yeah, I talk to them. I have no issues with them. Literally no issues with them. And that's a blessing from God. Truly. The majority of them does live in Los Angeles and San Diego. So I truly don't have no issues with them. Very important. I will read Psalms 23 for you. As this video is getting really long. But I will read Psalms 23 for you. So Psalms 23 says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He lets me rest in grassy meadows. He leads me to restful waters. He keeps me alive. He guides me in proper paths for the sake of his good name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no danger because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they protect me. You set a table for me right in front of my enemies. You bathe my head in oil. My cup is so full, it spills over. Yes, goodness and faithful love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the Lord's house as long as I live." So I feel as though that's one verse that truly did help me. The Lord does heal your soul. The Lord does heal your heart. The Lord does heal you. And the main thing is that it's important for you to ask for healing, and God will lead you in a direction towards healing, whether it's a therapist, whether it's listening to sermons, right, going to church, finding a group. This could be a female group or a male group, um, coming across people on social media that have had similar experiences that you too can talk upon it. And that's a form of releasing. Main thing in regards to healing family trauma is to recognize that you do have trauma. That is the main important step, to acknowledge it. Second thing to overcome childhood trauma is to acknowledge the pain that you have experienced, that you have felt. It was not okay. It was not acceptable. It hurt. It made you feel like nothing. It made you feel neglected, discarded. It made you feel abandoned, not heard. And to recognize that you're not responsible for the trauma that you have endured. You're not responsible for how they treated you. Third thing that is very important is to accept what has happened and to fully let go. As I mentioned, for me, writing was a form of me letting go, right? So find different ways that you're able to release this type of pain, whether this is working out, right? Whether this is writing, like I said, whether this could be in a group, but find a different way to let go of this pain and to regain control, take back your power. Decide that this pain will no longer control you, that this pain will no longer have a hold on you. It's also very important to make sure that as you are releasing this childhood trauma, um, that you forgive yourself. You may be so hard on yourself, like, why did I even talk to that person? Why did I even put myself in a situation? Forgive yourself. Why did my mom did this? Like, forgive yourself and also forgive the people that has caused you the pain. You're like, I will never forgive them. Ask God to help you to forgive them. If God forgave the people that ridiculed him, that poorly judged him, then you could find in your heart and your soul to forgive as well. Doesn't mean that because you gave them that you don't want to be close to them and that you're going to befriend them. No, because you learn. Another thing that I believe that is very important in order for you to heal family and childhood trauma is to not isolate yourself and do seek help if you truly do need it. And there are many different forms of traumas, and it does affect the mental health. Sometimes it could cause PTSD, it could cause depression, it could cause anxiety, it could cause bipolar disorder, it could also cause emotional dysregulation, it could also cause nervous issues, it could damage your nerves. It's important for you to seek mental and physical help. So overall, you're able to have restoration of your body and your spirit and your mind. Sometimes with family and childhood trauma, it may make you, as I mentioned, to isolate and to be in solitude. But try to over time. This doesn't have to be with family, but this could be with friends because sometimes family trauma can cause some behavior issues, such as like you wanting to not meet new people, you not wanting to open your heart and to date, people. But I honestly believe exposure therapy is important. So try to say hello, give someone a compliment, open the door for somebody, tell somebody, to have a nice day. Like, just communicate and to put yourself in an environment. Of course, make sure that you feel safe, but put yourself in an environment that there's other people. Start to mingle, start to socialize, and you just don't know because of that childhood trauma and that abandonment wound that you're carrying. That what comes out of it is a friend that ends up being a family member, or a man or female that you meet that ends up being the love of your life, and then eventually, as I said, has you know a wonderful family, or maybe they do have some family issues as well, and then you two can work upon it and start your own family. Also with family trauma, sometimes because of the experiences that we may have a little bit of an issue of people pleasing. And as I said, sometimes we gotta nip those things in the butt. So we have to take back our power and we have to start to put ourselves first. And we have to start saying, I have to treat myself. I have to spoil myself. I can't constantly give and give and give to people, because as I'm seeing this pattern from my childhood and nothing comes out of it. This is why I said boundaries is very important. Boundaries for yourself. Also, one thing that I believe is very important is to make sure that you embrace your new normal, embrace your new life, embrace your new chapter. Sometimes we have to put these family members behind us and we have to turn a new page. And the last thing is to truly, truly embrace your imperfections and embrace who you are, embrace your life. Words of affirmation can truly help you. It has helped me. Telling yourself that you are loved, that you are cared for, that you are special, that you are worthy. Go to your younger self as an adult now and talk to your younger self when they was at the most vulnerable and saddest point in their life, when no one was there, when they were being attacked, when they were being neglected, right? When they was pushed away. And tell your younger self so many beautiful things that's going to happen in the future, what to expect. what to look forward to, and to tell your younger self that you will always be there for them. Always. No matter what. Visualize yourself hugging your younger self. You gotta go like this, do it. You gotta kiss your younger self, do it. You gotta hold your younger self by the hand, do it. But that's one way to heal your childhood trauma. Show up for the younger you, because the younger you is still in here. So thank you so much for watching my video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys learned something from it. Thank you for listening to my story, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.